Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another Bug Rock of the Week episode. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty devastating bug that can either spawn you underneath your Minecraft world at Y and -40 in the void, or it can spawn you up at Y 255 right above world spawn and just kill you that way, and it doesn't really care how you feel about it. It's a pretty brutal bug. It can happen to you in any dimension, in any game mode, and is actually, pretty easy to reproduce, so you definitely want to be aware of this one. And we can actually reproduce it right now just by logging out of the world and logging back in. Make sure to pay attention to the upper left corner of the screen for the Y coordinate, because we're going to be falling from world height at world spawn. And yeah, as you can see, we're falling, and boom, we're at world spawn. So yeah, kind of convenient, but also probably not very useful to you. And this is by far not the worst part about this bug in the slightest. So before we check out actually loading in underneath the Minecraft world, I do want to kind of explain what exactly is happening here. So of course, when you, the player, log out, you're in a perfectly safe location. You're certainly not going to fall into this imminent pool of lava and burn to a crisp. However, when you log back in, depending on what you logged out on, and depending on if there is lava underneath that, the game is not going to want to put you right where you spawned in. It instead is going to try and put you somewhere safe. Of course, the game doesn't want to put you right into the lava. You take too long to load into the game, you would never be able to save yourself. And instead of just putting you into lava, or where you actually logged out at on the safe location, is instead either going to throw you right into the void, which is basically the worst death ever, or it's going to throw you up at Y to 255 above world spawn, which is not very great. However, I'll take that any day over the void. There's also a couple other ways to reproduce this without actually logging out in an unsafe location like this, but we'll talk about that later. So to log in underneath the world, we actually have to switch testing areas, because for some reason that one over there actually always spawns me above the world spawn, but this one always drops me out underneath the void, which is very strange. So as you can see, we're on a piece of glass surrounded by some lava. We're going to go ahead and log out of this thing real quick, and then it should drop us underneath the world. So log back in, and we'll basically just see the craziness unfold in front of our eyeballs, and hopefully it works. So yeah, as you can see, we're down underneath the void. All of those things are loading. As you can see, this happened in creative mode as well. We are down at Y -40. Definitely not a good glitch to have happen to you in survival. You will lose absolutely everything that you've ever had on your inventory. So let's go ahead and teleport back up here. And as you can see, we're actually in a different location. We are not right where we logged out. So the game tried to put us into a safe spot, which would be, right over here, probably right on this block. And then, yeah, it just kind of failed and instead put us into the void. So it tried. It gets like maybe an A for effort. However, it still killed you. So let's just put an F in the chat instead. So in case you thought you had to be right above the lava for this bug to happen, you actually don't. As you can see right now, we are at world height and the lava is still directly beneath us. We also have a nice 3x3x3 cube of ice. And if we go ahead and log out of this thing real quick and log back in, you should see that we will log in underneath the world, which is of course not very nice in the slightest. So as you can see, this is a pretty flexible bug. It doesn't really matter where you're at, it can still happen to you depending on how and where you log out. So I've tested a ton of different things with this bug, and I've actually only found 7 different things that you can reproduce this bug with. So that would be glass, ice, leaves, shulker boxes, fences, walls, and floating scaffolding that doesn't have like a nice solid block underneath it. Normally if you log out on the scaffolding, you just log back in on that block right there, so not too big of a deal. And yeah, I tested a bunch of other things, and none of the other things actually had this bug happen with it, either spawning under the world or of course spawning above world height. So you gotta be aware of what you log out in this game, and of course be very aware of lava, because lava can basically ruin your day without ever getting near you, which is kind of painful. So a similar bug is actually logging out on trapdoors, upper slabs, and chests. Now when you log out on any of these things, you won't be thrown under the world or at world spawn. Instead, you'll just start falling directly through the block if there's nothing below it, or you'll spawn actually inside of the block. Now surprisingly, this only actually happens with like upper slabs and upper trapdoors. It does not happen with lower trapdoors and lower slabs, which I find to be very peculiar. If anything was going to be broken, I would expect it to be those ones and not the upper variants. However, as you can see, if we just go ahead and relog this real quick, you'll see that we log in on it perfectly fine. These things are also not affected by the lava or world height bug, but just kind of an interesting find. So one little update is that glass panes and iron bars are also affected by the void and world height bug, so beware when logging out on these things as well. One final thing before we move on, I also tested all of these blocks over here and many more, and none of these are affected by the lava, void, or world height bugs, which I find to be kind of curious. I can't think of one thing that actually ties all of those together that doesn't also include some of these. All of those are technically transparent. However, redstone blocks, stairs, beds, daylight sensors, and bedrock, all of those are transparent too. So yeah, I'm not really too sure what ties all these things together, but none of these are affected by the actual void or world height. So I guess take that with a grain of salt. So there's actually one more known way to reproduce this bug, and that is by going through another portal and then having the game crash as you are kind of, going between dimensions. This has happened to my friend TizTom on Truly Bedrock multiple times, and he has lost just so many different things. You can see it in the clip right here on screen. But yeah, basically as he was going through the portals, it would crash right before he gets teleported, and then when he logs back into the realm, he's just underneath the world, and there's basically absolutely nothing that you can actually do about it. It's super heartbreaking and really rage-inducing as well. I already don't trust Nether portals in the slightest because they have so many issues on this platform, but now they can also drop you into the void depending on if the game crashes or if you close it. Now, I have not been able to reproduce this. Again, it's kind of hard to incite a crash. I don't know of any ways to actually do that, but I tried closing the game with Alt F4, and I was not able to reproduce the bug that way, but it has certainly happened to TizTom way more than his fair share. A final note is I think the sheer amount of lava around the player determines where they get dropped, either at world height or underneath the world. So with more lava, especially in the cardinal directions, you are more likely to get dropped at world height, because the cardinal directions is where the game tries to place you in a safe area. However, with a small amount of lava, you are more likely to be dropped into the void, so be careful about it. And with that, this video has gone on longer than it should. I do hope that you guys did enjoy. Of course, be sure to upvote the bug reports in the description down below if you want to see these things get fixed in the future updates. These are pretty big deals, and it definitely should not be in the game, especially because they are so easy to reproduce, and like lava floors are really cool. I want to build some lava floors, and I don't want to build them if these bugs are still in the game. So yeah, definitely visit the description down below, upvote them, leave a comment on the bug reports if you've seen these in action, leave any additional information that you got, and then these things will have a much higher chance of being fixed. But yeah, basically thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like. If you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you all down in the comment section and in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and then there was silence.